Growing up is getting old is a clever expression. Yes, as you grow up, you do in fact get older, but it's also a play on the phrase, this is getting old, this is getting tired, when you have to deal with what happens to your body, to your relationships, to your life as you age and lose people, lose friends, move away. You grow up and it gets old. In any case, Victoria from Bulgaria is discussing these issues and more in her gorgeous ballad for Eurovision 2021. She had 5 or 6 songs to choose from. This was the surprise winner to many people. However, the question now is, was it the right choice for Eurovision, and how will it do? Should we talk about it?
Let's do this.
I'm torn by nervous systems aching. Growing up is getting old. Anxiety is draining.
Don't get it? There's an ocean of emotion that I'm carrying inside. I am cautious because I've never understood how so much can fit in little me, star-crossed soul, and I'm used to letting go, sink deeper in the flow of it. My demons know exactly where my fears are hiding all my tears. The language here is very nice, you guys. It's simple and direct, and you get a sense of nostalgia, of longing. It's a slow burn initially, but it really does catch fire. If you stick with this, the payoff is immense. I love the climax of the song. I think it comes at just the right time. It is touching, it's giving me all the feels, and it's been made all the more powerful by her revelation that her father was diagnosed with ALS, also known as motor neuron disease, in recent months. She's dealing with a lot. She's got a lot going on, and this song really captures her mood and her struggles, and I'm convinced this could win Eurovision. And I am getting emotional. Robin, what do you think?
Um, it's an interesting song. When she was before she'd chosen it, and then there were the 6 different songs that she could pick. I was sort of checking them out, looking at the view counts on YouTube and Spotify, seeing what was popular, and there wasn't really anything that massively stood out. Like it was just sort of this general interest in all the songs. And Growing Up is Getting Old wasn't my favorite, but I thought it was the most suitable for Eurovision. It had more sort of dramatic moments, and it builds, it tells a story. So I think, all the building blocks are there for a really good performance. I personally find it a bit boring. It's not the kind of song that I want to listen to again and again. I actually think it will probably, compared to the studio version or the acoustic version she sang online, I think her performance at Eurovision will be the best of them all, and she will bring something. However, that doesn't actually exist yet, and I'm not going to give a jury score based on a theoretical imaginary performance that might happen. So I just sort of think at the moment it's just one of those nice songs, but I keep forgetting that it exists, and I sort of need there to be something extra to really just hook me and drag me into Victoria's world.
Well, damn, my ocean of emotion was just rocked, Tebin.
I respect Robin's views, but yeah, it's a tough one, because I also share a similar sentiment of this not being my standout. I think of the 6 songs, was it 6-song EP? I think Growing Up is Getting Old was my 4th favorite. Funeral Song was my absolute standout. Having said that, I made it very clear from the very beginning that at this point, any of the songs will do well at Eurovision, and we're talking top 10 finish. I mean, it's just a case of, which can you stage better? And Growing Up is Getting Old, wow, I love how it packs so much meaning into a 3-minute pop song, which talks about, her sort of mental state of mind, and a lot of people can draw meaning no one's getting younger. So this song is actually quite universal, you know? She talks about her nervous system aching and, you know, anxiety's draining. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I love this song. I really, really like it. And I've listened to it so many times. And I've watched different versions of it. She's got 2 music videos for a start. She's got the concert thing she performed in Sofia, where you've seen a live performance of that. She's done the acoustic. And on social media, she's done several snippets of it. Every time I hear it, I find new meaning. I think this is a gem. It's a hidden treasure.
I think that when she presented us with all the songs, for our phrase, I think William said it off camera, it was different shades of Victoria. And nothing really stood out because the playing field, there was, her stamp was on everything, and it kind of had a little bit of a samey feel. But even in that field, Growing Up is Getting Old was still the standout song for me. So I was surprised when I saw everybody getting upset online that Funeral Song or Imaginary Friend or any of these others didn't get picked. And in the weeks since we've had this song, I've grown closer to Growing Up is Getting Old, and it has stood out more and more for me because now it is in a much wider field of 39 very different songs, and it really stands out. And as Devin alluded to, it has the universality that a lot of the other frontrunners don't. Because everybody, once you turn the age of 18, once you're old enough to get into a nightclub or buy alcohol without fake ID, everybody else wants to be younger. The only demographic that wants to be older is the teenagers and children. And they're a very small proportion of the global population. So everybody can relate to this message, much more so than Destiny's song is very powerful for women. Men might be alienated. Barbara and Jean are both in French, so a lot of people might miss the message there. This is where Victoria slips in, and her song is written very simply, but very cleverly and effectively, because even the line where she goes, growing up is getting old, and then she inverts it to getting up is growing old. And it's just done very cleverly, very smart. And even I think the way the music is done, the kind of done, the kind of Disney style melody with the instruments works much more effectively, I feel, with this song than last year's song, Tears Getting Sober, that it fits the mood of this song, that it kind of has the nostalgia. And that's the thing now as well. We've said it before with the 80s revival, that people have a nostalgia for times gone by and people have a nostalgia for their youth. And in a way, Victoria is tapping into these feelings, but just in a different way than Stefania or Julia. Yeah, and I think, like Devin has said, that she could be a dark horse.
This dark horse is shining bright because I see her about 50 miles off and she is charging toward victory. We should remember that Marvin Dietmann, you know, the man who did the staging for Conchita Wurst, for jury winner Cesar Sampson, he is doing Victoria's staging, and he said, or rather Victoria said, that he told her this song has the best potential for staging. So the fact that he was confident in it makes me even more confident. I love the final 4 lines of this song. She says, if your world is breaking and growing up is getting old, know that you're worth saving and getting up is all you've got. It ends on a happy note. It's very tender. Wow is what I said. It's so tender, so sweet. And the nostalgia that Porig mentions, I think in this in this pandemic era, we're all feeling that sort of, I don't know, you can access this emotionally, is what I'm trying to say. Period of loss of your freedom, loss of loved ones, whatever it is. This song really fits with kind of the zeitgeist. Now, this goes without saying, Will this qualify? We look at the running order. She performs 13th in semi-final 2. She is after Albania and Portugal, and before Finland and Latvia. So before her, you have sort of traditional ethnic sounds, and after her, you got a lot of noise, and I mean that in a good way, rocking out with Finland and the moon rising. She stands out. She sort of, yes, Portugal is slow. Yes, Portugal is also a ballad, but tonally it's completely different. I really think Victoria will pop out of this, and I think she is a contender to win this semi-final. I know everyone is all about Switzerland, which is also amazing. It's also amazing, but I think Bulgaria is in this potentially, Robin.
Yeah, I don't think it will be like the sort of song that you count on to win the semi-final, but I think it would be very unlikely for it to not qualify. It's just sort of it's a nice. I think there'll be a nice, quiet, emotional moment in the middle of that semi-final. I guess the risk is there might be something later in the running order that's a bit sort of attention grabbing, and everyone sort of remembers that a bit more. But yeah, there's a really good chance, especially if the staging is really strong, that people, once the recap gets played, people will be like, oh yes, that was nice, I'd like that. Yeah, a definite qualifier.
Debonette at Wiwibloggs.com.
Even if she performed in a bed sheet, laying flat on a matted floor, this is going through. You know, this song is not just a ballad. It's a progressive ballad with a symphonic swell. It builds, it envelops. There's something about it which is so uplifting. It kind of just takes you on this journey and just releases you. Particularly that part that goes, going up, it's getting old, growing up. As you just imagine violins and all those string instruments. This is musicality beyond prowess. You know, another thing I'm going to mention is shout out to Team Bulgaria, because, and I tell you why, every single act at Eurovision has suffered the fate of comparing their last year's entry with this year's entry. But when we talk about growing up is getting old, we're not thinking Tears Getting Sober at this point. We're thinking Imaginary Friend. We're thinking Funeral Song. We're thinking Ugly Cry. That, you know, they've given us so many gems. They've given us they've given the Eurovision community so many songs to choose from, and we are at a different point now. However, if I have to compare it to Tears Getting Sober, yeah, I'm still with Tears Getting Sober. But this is equally amazing. Will it qualify? It's a rhetorical question at this point. Where are we? Even if Romania was in the same semi-final, which actually the two of them are quite similar, you know, yeah, it's similar kind of songs.
Self-love, amnesia, no. No, they are different. I don't hear it.
No, they're not that different. And I'll tell you why they're not even that different. Because when Victoria had to pick on songs to challenge herself, it was 10 days challenge. You know, I mean, goodness, she picked a Roxanne song. It's obvious. They're not that different. If you like one, you're going to like the other.
Girl, you got amnesia. You're not remembering the song correctly. Okay, you need to practice some self-love.
Congratulations for knowing the song title. But listen, this is going through.
Thank you so much. Poor egg.
Well, we know what semi-final 2 is like, so this song could be far worse than it actually is, and it would still get through with semi-final 2, because semi-final 2, there's songs that are going to be laying in the dust after semi-final 1 that would have gotten out of semi-final 2. That's the disparity between the two semis this year, in my opinion. That there's probably like, in semi-final 1, I think all bar one songs people are kind of rating as a chance of qualifying, whereas in semi-final 2, there's maybe 5 songs, and then you might say, oh, it's between anyone else. Victoria is in the 5 songs that's basically qualifying for the final. And then, like several other songs, it's a question of how far she'll rise. And if she captures the moment, she might just rise to the base.
She's going to grab the moment.
Being a prostitute at the red light district. I mean, really, the message here is solid.
It really is. I just want to say last year, so ahead of Eurovision 2020 in the fall of 2019, I had listened to the demos, and Tears Getting Sober was in it, and so was this, Growing Up is Getting Old. I actually ranked Growing Up is Getting Old first and Tears Getting Sober second because I liked it that much in the demo form, and they have elevated since then. They have elevated. Even from what we heard the first time earlier this year, they made the climax come a little bit earlier, and so you were dragged along as you should be, as opposed to, letting the song pass you by. I think this is brilliant. I think this is amazing. I think this absolutely slays. It is now time to go around and give our scores out of a 10, along with the justification, starting in the Southern Hemisphere with the queen of the Wiwi jury, Robin.
Okay, I gave it a 6.5, but I expect that to actually increase once the Eurovision performance happens. 6.5 is sort of for the studio version, the live versions of me not quite connecting, but I would not be surprised if I was to revisit that in a month or two. I'd be going, yes, that was an 8 or an 8.5.
It's an 8. It's an 8. I think this is excellent, and I think that this is challenging for victory. It's super strong. There's just so much to like about this. Without repeating myself, I did film a reaction, so guys, if you haven't seen it, you're welcome to check it. This is just fantastic.
I think this is a song that can resonate from 18-year-olds right up to 90-year-olds, from voters in Moscow right down to voters in Sydney. And I think it has equal appeal to both the juries and the televoters, that she has the mainstream current sound, but she also has the technical skills that the juries are after. And putting all that together, I'm going to give her a 9.
Well, these scores are building. Will I keep the momentum going? Oh my goodness. Look, she layers nostalgia and tenderness over piano and strings. Her sort of trickle of emotion. It becomes a full-on flood and gives us one of the biggest payoffs of the year emotionally. There's a line in the song, where is it? She says, "I've never understood how so much can fit in little me. Well, our girl is proving she contains multitudes." I'm giving her a 10. That is perfection. This song deserves to come near the top, and I think that it will. Maybe it's the winner. Maybe we are all headed to Sofia. Shout out to Sofia. Shout out to Plovdiv. Shout out to the gorgeous cities of Bulgaria. We hope to see you potentially soon. In any case, we are not the only Wiwibloggs. There are dozens of us all over the world, and they too have given their scores. And then Robin in New Zealand, she pulled out her calculator, she pulled out her Apple, Mac, ProBook, Windows, everything. She was doing the calculations. And when we put it all together, we have an overall global average of 7.09. Which I find a little low.
Robin, what was the lowest score for this, please?
It was a 3.
And it was multiple 3s at that. So look, we need...
Yeah.
I'm going to hand this over to Robin. Could you just discuss Salvador Sobral and averages and favorites and voting? Because a global average is not necessarily indicative of a song's chances.
Yeah, I mean, with this, there are always going to be people who don't like it and won't vote for it. But the highest score in this was 10. Multiple people gave it 10s. And I think if you're going to give a song a 10, you're going to be more inspired to vote for it than if you gave it like a 7 or an 8. I mean, there is a limited number of votes a person gets, and you might just think, I'm going to vote for my absolute favourite. So in this case, I think the spread of votes is actually quite a positive thing for Victoria. It shows that, if the Wiwi jury is anything to go by, that there are super fans who will really get behind the song. So let's see if that plays out in May.
Shout out to Natalie. Shout out to Ron. My fellow kings and queens serving a 10.
I, you know what? I need an insight into this spreadsheet because who gives a 3? Who gives a 3?
I don't want anyone getting hurt, so I'm not gonna
Yeah,
reveal.
no. I need to do a cull. My dress book needs to do a cull. A 3.
In any case, that's what we think. What do you think? Do you think a 7.09 is too low? Do you think Bulgaria is a dark horse to win? Or do you also see the gorgeous stallion in Technicolor galloping toward victory? Let us know here on Wiwibloggs.
And don't forget to subscribe so you can always stay up to date with our latest videos.
And whether you give Victoria a 10 or a 3, you can give us a thumbs up and turn on your notifications.
Is Victoria on Pinterest?
She's not a middle-aged housewife in
She's playing
Kansas.
Tetris.
Yeah.
Because we are on Pinterest.
And Debin is on OnlyFans. And we'll see you later. Bye.